podcast discussion. Today, we are talking about dead weight. And when I say dead weight, it can be both physical and spiritual. But let me introduce myself. My name is Tennille, and I am a transformational coach. I focus on black women, black lesbian women, black trans women who are 30 to 50 years old, who are transitioning out of stressful, unhealthy situations, especially with cluster B personalities, which the cocktail of that includes narcissism, borderline personality, psychopath, sociopath, antisocial, histrionic, um, uh, and bipolar, and a few other. Um, but those are the core ones, or basically narcissism, sociopathy, and psychopathy are core. They kind of interweave into each other, though narcissism has not been classified as a um, mental illness because it's not. These are character disturbances. There's a huge difference between having a mental illness and a character disturbance, though the cluster B personality can have both, whether they start out like that or eventually they end up having it. When you're doing witchcraft on people, when you're constantly trying to get people to play the roles in your and their in the life that you wish that you could have had, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and people start wising up and rising up and you still are at the bottom, then yeah, you can acquire something. So anyway, and I do have programs that are available now on Fiverr, and you can go to the link in on my channel, and that is of the one. The first one is a 8-month program, 8 weeks. It's called From Sealed to Healed, and I am coaching you through. Basically teaching you what it is, what cluster B personalities are, what they do, what their tactics. When you know better, you do better. Okay, I know it's redundant, but we need to make redundant. Okay, so then that way, when you start elevating and you go through life and you're using the tools that the primary tools that you've already had, that you have, you acquire more tools by going a little bit deeper, right, and enhancing those tools. So if you think about a video game, which this is somebody's virtual reality that we're in, but when you think about a video game, what you go from one to three. By the time you're in the third level, you should have acquired more money, more territory, and better weapons, right? So, um, another one is just an empathic listener. If you need somebody to listen to you, and because a lot of times then this is why I do this, even though I don't have the setup that I would like to have for the podcast where I show my face and everything, because I still have this person. I've said this before. These guys don't like to lose, and what I am teaching you, I have gone through or am going through, and I gain that wisdom to pass down to you guys, right? So, um, I still want to share, this with you guys. But one thing that I found is that you need somebody. I had a spiritual mom, and I met her at a bus stop, right? I was going somewhere, met her at a bus stop, and I was kind of like, in La La Land. I was just like that, and just singing to myself, and just full of love and just bubbling and just like, okay, what's supposed to happen, And a lot about me, I think internally, right? So a lot of things to me are a given because I've already seen it. And so when people ask for clarification, I believe I kind of find it insulting, even though I know that now that that's not what they mean. But because I already am and already know, I have this sense of knowing. Um, I don't like, I feel that some questions are redundant when people ask them to me. But anyway, so anyway, here I am in my own little world. I'm listening to my music, and I meet this woman, and we're talking. She says, "Oh gosh, did you see the UFO?" And I didn't see it, right? And I did think that she was kind of cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs because I wasn't into that. I'm still not really into the UFO thing. I don't believe. I don't believe that there are. I believe that there are entities, but I don't believe that they're what they're telling us. I believe that they've been given specs and they're creating these spaceships Because I watched an air show. A friend of mine went to an air show, and he said that there was a plane that could go vertical, horizontal, back, front, up, down, spin around. I mean, the whole 9 yard. All those maneuvers that you see flying saucers, quote unquote, do. So they've had the technology. I just think you have to take everything that you hear and that you read with a grain of salt, and you have to put it through your intuition mill. That's basically what you got to do. Sorry, hold on. Come on, honey. Come on. She can sit there. Come, come. You come here. Sorry, Nubian has she's acquired the rights to be by my by my side more than Prosperity, and Prosperity doesn't know what to do because she's like, that's my niece. But anyway, so but in meeting this woman, she was like, we were talking and we talked for hours, and she gave me her phone number, and we talked for hours because you know what, even though I may not have believed in the UFO thing that she was commenting on, but in we both were talking about God and talking about the supernatural and really the occult. And she tells me, she's, we can't talk to this, we can't talk about this to regular people. And I've mentioned that in a podcast. So that we can't, the things that we have, those people who are truly chosen, I'm not talking to people who just call themselves chosen and are the devil themselves, right? Those people who are truly chosen, those people who truly see into the spiritual realm and into the physical realm, and have to live in both worlds and get punished for living in both worlds. That's my audience. If you're in the black community, you are a black female, you are a black lesbian, you are a black trans woman, then you're my audience. So that's what I am providing an empathic ear to, and being an empathic listener for the for summer. It's $35, a 35-minute session for $40. So if I were you, I'd go ahead and go for it. Um, because I know, like she said, it's hard to talk to people because it's like, how can you go to a counselor or a preacher? I mean, even a preacher, where they're talking about spiritual warfare. Like what I have experienced and what I experienced in the last 10 years, 12 years, has not been anything that I've heard in a church. They shied away from spiritual warfare really quick, and they started to demonize it. They started to blame after they preached about it for so long and so hard, and were teaching people, okay, this is why you fast, this is why you pray during your fast, this is why when you get up at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm still having to remember to do that because I get mad. I'm not mad at God, I'm not mad at my angels, I'm not mad at my guides, I'm mad at the people who are attacking me in my sleep. Like I woke up one time, and I've woke up several times pissed off as all get out, because number one, it's a violation. Number two, whatever they did, whatever I saw them do, I fought in my um, dream state, in the dream state before, and come out and woke up victorious, woke up happy as um, happy, So, but who can we talk to that about, right? So that's what the empathic listener is for, because sometimes you just want to get shit off your chest. Sometimes you just want somebody, so here's my boundaries on empathic listener. I am not your garbage can. I am not your punching bag. If you want to actually just get stuff off your chest, look, I am transitioning. I don't know where else to start. I miss my partner. I don't know how to start over again at 40. I am tired. You know what I mean? Whatever it is, that's fine. But throwing up at me, or putting transferring, which is what cluster B personalities do, is transferring is uh, because they can't talk to the main person, their main source, about what pisses them off about them, because they're still grooming, or they have this. Usually with the main source, they're not going to show the source. They're not going to show that source exactly who they are, not, at least not right away, because this is why they usually have other people, not just for resources, energetic and physical, worldly, but also for to dump. They want an all in one. They want a one stop shop in people. They want you to be their mother. They want you to be their father. They want you to be their sex slave. They want you to be their punching bag, their whipping post, their, um, their garbage can. It's not an empathic listening kind of thing. Um, so anyway, there's that. If you have any questions, please, you can get me on social media. And please, if you haven't already, you guys, please help me boost because I am being shadow banned because I outed several people who were gang stalking me and uh, a part of unaliving some of my fur babies and then trying to unalive me as sex offenders. And so, if you come across this and you like a little bit of what you hear, please subscribe and ring the bell or give a thumbs up. I would appreciate it. I so want to get out of this pattern here because it doesn't. From what the Most High told me, my guides told me is like no, they're literally shadow banning you, meaning that they're trying to make sure that nobody can find me. And it's not nobody has my name. You got a soccer team, but anyway, it is what it is. So please, all the help that you can get. So now let's get to it. Dead weight. So I thought about this, and I've actually been holding on to this topic for about 5 months, maybe 3 months, maybe three. And so I do that where I'll think of a topic or a topic will come to me. I'm not like consciously thinking of it, but a situation will come up in my mind's eye and we'll go through the part of playing it out, analyzing it, da 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 da, and then the topic will come. The topic title will come. And so dead weight came, which is why I have the picture. Oh, so the picture, yeah, this was about 8 months ago almost. The picture came when I did a few things. I used Midjourney to get an idea of what my spirit guides look like. I already knew them by name, right? So I got used the picture to get to see what they looked like. And I was like in tears and I felt so much love because these guys have been warring for me on realms that I never even realized, and that's a whole nother story. That's a movie. Um, but I also used it to describe, to try and get a picture, a visual of what I was seeing in the spiritual realm, in other dimensions, right? So dimensions, it's not so mystified. We got to get out. That's what one thing that the Most High God was talking to me about today was we have to get out of mystifying things. We have to demystify it. Now that we have an understanding that there's other timeline realms and dimensions, we got to bring it on home. I know that the movies kind of glorify it and they take creative licenses all the time, but really, a dimension is I'm in this realm and then I go into my mind space, into my virtual world, and I create like The Sims. Okay, so when somebody else is in their mind space, and this is another thing, I don't know if I'll make it another podcast discussion, but it did come up to me, did come up, as something that as a possible. So but when somebody, for instance, I have a stalker still, and because this person is the whole kit and caboodle as a cluster B, I mean, like, there is no differentiating between. You will have cluster B personalities where you can't tell which one of the demons shines brighter, right? So, like, so you got I've already listed them, right? So you got sociopath. You can't tell whether somebody is more of a sociopath or whether somebody is more of a psychopath. And according to, I forget her name, Dr. Remani, I believe is her name. Um, if you put her name down in the comments, please. Um, Ramani, I believe. So she said that a psychopath is born, a sociopath is created. So, and I'm not understanding. Well, and I guess if you when you here your nerves are numb and you keep getting rejected and rejected and rejected and rejected. I guess maybe that can happen. But anyway, but you can't tell with this person that I'm talking about what is what with her because she has an identity crisis on top of everything. So, and schizophrenia plays a lot into this too, where, she sees things that aren't there, or she believes that people are doing things to her, or there's cockroaches everywhere. Okay. Why? No, actually, I understand the cockroaches. God revealed the cockroaches to me while I've been on my hiatus. So I've been on like a six day, almost a 6 day break, and because I'm able to, and I'm so grateful for this. But it was a little bit trying because we'll talk about transitioning in that empty space, that you feel after you get out of an environment, from, in my case, or out of a relationship, and back to normal people. It's like, oh my God, you realize how much you've been fighting for your life, and because it's really that serious, and all of it is done in these guys' head. So back to, which brings me back to the dead weight. Sometimes the dead weight is invisible in this realm. You can feel the weight, the weight of the energy projected onto you. For instance, back to this woman. I lived with her when I was three. I had spent 3 days on the streets, and you guys know my story. If you don't go back to the older podcasts, um, where I actually had like an intro, because I wasn't. But this person has been attacking this podcast. She's been attacking it. She has people in her pocket. I was reminded that a coworker, before I went on break, had said, "Be careful." This person who had just gotten, up to manager, and was trying to brag about it to people and show her power. I wasn't having it, And she says, "Oh, you got to be careful because she does have people in her pocket." And it's like, I mean, and so here, and this is the way that it was described. Nobody likes these people, but it's her and her sister. Nobody likes them. They're absolutely toxic. There's some questions about their relationship, and um, I mean, I've seen everything, but I'm so tired of being infected by it and everybody normalizing this type of behavior, as and where these people get to level up in the job sphere. And so nobody likes her. Nobody wants to be on their team. They literally are because they're not team players. They're not team players. And one thing that I don't like about this person is that she gets right up into your face, and I'm not sure why nobody's punched her in her face, or screamed, "Get out of my space," because it's really uncomfortable, knowing when you feel what she's carrying, and I think that's why she crosses that boundary, right? And she's always trying to tell people this is how you do things when it doesn't have to be that way at all, right? So one thing I learned, especially as a Virgo, is that you don't have to always have things go the way that you think it should be. I find myself now saying, okay, I keep hitting roadblocks because I'm doing the same thing over and over again, right? Breaking patterns, breaking generational curses. Okay, so please reveal to me another way that I can do this, if hopefully more efficiently and effectively, to get a even better result, if not just the result that I'm looking for, right? And I do find myself saying this, like, okay, so since they're shadow banning me, what else can I do? But it's everywhere that I go, because this person is not in physical form. This creature is in in their virtual reality, and dictating what other people do with their life. And so that was one of the reasons why I came up with the title Dead Weight, because you're playing a character. So back to when I lived with her, she came and got us set it up. So when I lived with her, because more is being revealed now that I've been able to settle down, and not stress so much about certain things, and and I'm so blessed. I'm so grateful. So this, what was revealed was that this person was this cluster B personality, had already in their mind how they were going to groom me, because she went right into, when I thought about it the first time, she had gone into, and this is an abuser. This woman is a sex offender. Sorry, guys. Had to put my earphone in. But this woman is a sex offender. And this is why we need to talk about in the lesbian community, the trans community, we in the black female community, in all of our communities, we need to talk about the fact that women can be sex offenders. It's passed off as it's not even passed off. When you're dealing with covert narcissists, they hide under mother, they hide under fragile feminine, right? I have a security guard that where I live, and I've talked about her before, but just briefly. This one, this she changed face. She was literally Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde over me coming and going as I pleased without her having to buzz me out, which is not a requirement. So what she would do is, and because I wouldn't look at her, she wanted my attention. And there's something with the Hispanic communities where you get the sexism, you got the bravado, you got the um, generational incest, you got witchcraft galore, right? And you got all this abuse, psychological, especially. Like, these guys are master manipulators, and they don't care. They don't have the empathy, but they can pretend. These guys can, when they're toxic, they can pretend like nobody's business. So this, she was getting mad because I wasn't looking at her. At the same time, the plumber was getting mad because I wasn't looking at him. So I had to deal with both of them energetically to find out that the security guard was into witchcraft and was conjuring up a whole bunch of stuff while she wasn't at work or when she was in one of the tenants' rooms. So then the plumber was lusting so bad to stim. You know what I mean? Sometimes people want you to look at them so that they can get a picture of your soul and then they can toy with it on their own personal time. That's a form of vampirism. When you are lusting after somebody and you are pretending you were pleasuring yourself off of that energy, off of the thought of doing something with them. You see, some people can't let that stuff go. So that's you're carrying. There's so many. This is why I said there's so many ways to carry dead weight. This is why when you know somebody who's gotten so mad because you've protected yourself or you're independent and you don't, because they take it as an offense. This woman took it as an offense. The dude took it as an offense, right? But at the time when I was living with this other cluster B personality before I became homeless officially and started my journey officially, I was too afraid because I knew that there would be retaliation. I was afraid of the retaliation. It wasn't that I was trying to people please, it was that I was afraid of not people pleasing. And I believe that's what most of us go through as empaths. Where I did that codependent no more, and all that stuff. I listened to the book, and I'm like, I don't have these symptoms. Be careful what people try and ascribe to you. Ascribe, ASRIBE, ascribe. Be careful what they try and ascribe to you, because really, this woman, we are not codependent. I don't know why she wrote it or see. And here's my theory. And if you guys believe it, get into the comments with it. My theory is that a lot of people who are being released as experts are either handlers or either survivors of being handled. And they've earned their stripes and stars, and they're able to come out now. Like, I believe this. Never mind. I can't say that right now. Oh, but hey, if you feel something similar to along those lines, let me know. So anyway, she had me in her virtual reality playing a role that I did not audition for. And I wrote this down in my books. I was like, wait a minute. And like, she would talk to me as if we had already been talking. Why? Because she was already talking to me in her head. This is part of she practiced witchcraft and the what she was taught. And if you go to my TikTok, I have a video up of an African woman I don't remember where she's from, what Nigeria or Ghana, or I don't know what she's from, but she talks about soul snatching, entrapment or snatching. And so, but anyway, that's another thing. But she was talking about how she would focus in her energy, her intentions on somebody. It didn't have to do with getting a cauldron or salt or, a rat claw and some, graveyard dirt. It had nothing to do with that. When she was describing the ritual that she performed, it was literally all in her mind. It was to get into that other person's mind. Because I've said before, Phoenix's Rising Academy, the first thing that the devil attacks is your mind. Because you are the master of your mind. You create your own virtual reality in your mind. That's why people say, I tell people, I think in pictures. I think in pictures. I visualize a lot. But I know, and so it's to focus that visualization. So when you focus that visualization so intently that the people that you have, as a filmmaker, as a scriptwriter, still a novice, but as a script, and I've never been known for anything, but as a scriptwriter, they always say the first people you pick are your family, your friends. You know what I mean? Those are who you're going to write about, right? Those are who you're going to grab character and try and make into something. And so when you have somebody like a cluster B personality with borderline personality, that's their emotions are dysregulated, and they have histrionic personality disorder, and they think that you are closer than what you really are, to the point where this woman was saying, well, where she was like, you're my soulmate. She was already playing it out in her mind. This woman was trying to grab my hand. This woman was trying to have sex with me, even though I'm in the other room and she's in one room, because she was fantasizing about having sex with me. That's still a violation. That's still rape. So the dead weight is other people's unhealed trauma manifest into cluster B person and into these demons that are known as the types of cluster B under the cluster B personality umbrella. That's the dead weight that we carry, right? The dead weight of because it's been these people who have grafted them, these demons that have grafted themselves in. Why? Because they say, well, I deserve it more. You know, Solomon, Queen of Sheba. Somebody came in. I mean, I don't believe what is said about her. I believe, but if you go off of that story, somebody came into her kingdom and then tried to, engrave themselves through the seed, because it's in the blood, right? If I can get into your family tree, if I can infuse myself into your bloodline by getting you pregnant in your conscious, in your unconscious mind, and then making it conscious, or if I can impregnate you through both physical pregnancy, right, and physical pregnancy and psychological pregnancy, right? Yeah, psychological pregnancy. Then I am grafted into your life, because that's exactly what they do. That's why they hoover. I want what you have because I didn't have it. Or because a lot of even the people who are rich, even the cluster B personalities who are rich, still have that emptiness because they didn't deal with their spirituality first. They didn't deal with the wounds first. So they're always trying to throw it on to somebody else. Another woman who has been, is a cluster B personality and has multiple personality disorder on top of everything else. And then it is physically, her physical body is, because of all the witchcraft that she's done, and she has to do it 24/7. Like that's what the Most High had revealed to me, because this woman was staging interaction with me. If I crossed the street, she'd be looking over like, "Why did you cross the street?" Right? You're out there with your husband. So see, when you're dealing with cluster B personalities, they're aware. They have set the stage and have hit action, right? And if they're a witch and they're projecting, they're astral projecting their consciousness to you while standing in front of the person that they're actually married to. You see what I'm saying? And like, I hope it's not difficult to wrap your minds around. We can be, the multiverse is being in one, more than one dimension at a time. When you are a cluster B personality, you already have that. It's an ability though, it's not a gift, because these people would not be jealous of anybody, because why wouldn't you use your gift to go to the stock exchange? Why, if it was a gift and not an ability acquired off of the bitterness? You see what I'm saying? Because these guys don't follow rules. They don't have any empathy. They don't follow rules, which is why a lot of them are getting their comeuppance come pretty soon. It's already started. It's already started to roll out. It's been in the works for about 3 months. So if it was a spiritual gift, like I got a download that they were going to try and sabotage my job and get me fired and make it so that I couldn't pay my rent. Right? These same people have still been coming for me, and I'm nowhere to be found. Right? So, but the how you know that somebody is really off their gourd, off their rocker, is that they come to where you are and you haven't talked to them or seen them, and they're still trying to hide themselves. They're literally still trying to kill you. You know, they're still trying to have some. They're trying to kill your spirit. They're trying to still have some type of domination over you. You know, but back to this lady. So, and she was a succubus. But and I saw the Most High God showed me the demon attachment to the little girl inside of her, right? Because when I was on my journey, I had to raise up that little girl and let her know that I am here by your side. It was such a beautiful thing to have us harmonized together, to where she wasn't scared, she wasn't flinching. It wasn't saying that we don't get scared, but she wasn't cowering down inside of me, and I wasn't following after her. Okay, but with this woman, she would you so the multiverse, she was able to project her, be in front of her husband, but had already projected, which is a she fragmented her spirit, which is projecting her consciousness to my hotel room, and would sit as if we were a couple and watch my I could feel it. I grew up, I was born with these gifts, and I'm so proud of them. So that's that multi-dimension. But she had told, I heard her speak, I heard her thoughts. And again, she's talking to me. She's saying one thing, but I'm hearing what she's not saying. I tell people, I can hear what you don't say. I can hear what you don't say. I have a manager where I live now, and the demon inside of him almost came to tried to tear me to pieces. And this is a man still to this, or a creature still to this day, who cannot, when I go and ask him a question, he always has to dumb it down, because he has to see me as a stupid, fat black woman. He cannot see me, and this is a Hispanic male. He cannot see me as anything more than him. Because when I notice where I'm at, these guys are not. And I've said this before. These guys are not used to people who are living in their authenticity. They want black people especially to cower down. They don't like it when you are assertive. They don't like it when you um, aren't going to back down, when you're not mentally ill, whatever they like. And I've said it just proved my point, because in this same group of people, they like it when you are visibly um, unbalanced, when are when you have mental issues, when you can't take care of yourself. So when I was on the streets, that's when uh, a couple of these these women, or even, well, the first one thought that, oh, well, you're on the streets, so now you're vulnerable, and this is what you deserve, right? So these are the same people, these cluster B personalities are the ones who are trying to tell you, in insidious ways, well, this is what you deserve. You don't deserve anything else, right? You don't deserve anything else because you messed with me, and you're gonna come, but I'm gonna make it so you're gonna want to come back to me. You're gonna be begging me to come back, and that never happened. And for some reason, and I don't understand, I still don't, I understand, but sometimes I'm like, I don't, why don't they just give up already? Like when I moved, I should have, that should have been it. There were other times where it should have just been it, right? But they kept doing it over and over and over again, this specific person. And they kept trying to take my, I would have this person who, she would be across the street in a vehicle. I would see her. And then she would talk to um, my coworkers towards the end. And I knew it. Something said, okay, because the energy shifted to her evil energy signature. And my uh, uh, coworker started gaslighting me because she wanted me to know that she saw me when I went to the store. So I would get my favorite ice cream or whatever, whatever, whatever. I mean, like, she literally had somebody coming into the store because I would get cough drops, and she'd have somebody come into the store and try and bully me away from the cough drops. I'm like, I don't know, but see, I'm not able to bully anymore, right? I'm not that scared. I'm not fawning, and I'm not freezing. So, unfortunately, the people that she sends and that do things, whatever. And when I started outing her as a pedophile, she had to somehow get away from that. So then she started slandering me more, right? Oh, she doesn't believe in illegal immigration and all this other kind of stuff. And what your politics is, it doesn't matter. What matters is your spirit and how obedient you are to the Most High. If you're living in your purpose, are you living from your authentic self? Are you happy? Because nobody, doesn't matter whether you're a Democrat or Republican or an independent or a Green Party or whatever you may be into. Okay? It does not matter, and nobody has the right to try and impose trauma consistently on another person every single day, right? So the dead weight is other people's perverted perception of the world around them when it concerns other people. And I've said this before, if they didn't think it was wrong, they wouldn't do it in silence. If you didn't think that sex trafficking in children and humans was wrong, then you wouldn't be, the people who are involved wouldn't be trying to unalive and silence everybody and blackmail anybody from saying anything, right? So the spiritual dead weight is what they is it's it's the cluster B trying to attaching themselves through a trauma bond, so that they can graft themselves in to your energetic, your etheric body, your light bodies, right? They're siphoning from you. They're grafting. It's like putting uh, 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 a hose into the gas tank and trying and siphoning, right? So they're doing it through a trauma bond. So anything that they do, so a trauma bond is not. I used to argue a trauma bond, and you guys can go listen to that, because a trauma bond isn't something that you're doing, it's something that they're doing. If I traumatize you, now you're going to be too afraid, hopefully, to leave me or to dare speak up against me, right? And this woman this ogre is what I call her, is a huge bully. So when you're so that gives you that puts weight on you, because the reason why they're trauma bonding you, doing something that they know is going to open you up. They need you to be opened up. When I was growing up, there was a lot of social experiments that people didn't realize were social experiments being done. Like you have like you like a trend, right? Like you have these people doing like when they were throwing buckets over their head of water, right? You have that. Oh, I forget what that trend was. And so it's things like that. That's a trend that all of a sudden people start doing. Well, one of these trends back in my day when that people started doing was when somebody didn't respond, or their people are walking past you and they're going about their business. They're not paying attention to anything but what's in front of them or on their, with that time we didn't have those types of cell phones. I think we have pagers or whatever. And I didn't have a pager, so I was good. But when somebody would not pay attention to you, what people started doing was scaring them. Some of it was malicious. Some of it was, um, I think all of it was really malicious, because the whole point when when you're scaring somebody is to get them shocked out of themselves, to get them out of their center. When you take somebody's housing, when you workplace mob, you're taking somebody's stability. And I've noticed this. I said every time. This is why I will say this, because for me, I don't like to interact too much with people. I mean, I have great intellectual conversations, which is absolutely for a sapiosexual sexual yummies. Yeah, it's been a long time coming, because I've always been on the defensive, right? I've always been on this. I've had to guard myself for long periods of time, years. I've had to be on guard. So I was afraid to let when I read, I let myself sink into the book, right? So you're taking somebody's stability, you're taking somebody's ability to focus on what brings them joy. So you're trying to take away from God, is what they're trying to take away, of anybody having a relationship with their ancestors, with the Most High God. That's what they're trying to do as well. So it's multifaceted here. So when people would shock you, what does it do? Boom! It's like, oh my God, what happened? All of a sudden you're looking around and you're frantic, you're discombobulated, right? And it's in that period of waking up that they seep in and grab a hold of whatever branch is available to them in your bloodline, and then they stick there as dead weight. They're dead fruit. They're literally dead fruit on a vine, on your branch, right? And so because they don't want spiritual. This is spiritual, you guys. They're sticking themselves in your bloodline because they don't want to die off. That's the dead weight, right? Like, oh God, I forget the lady's name who sung "Strange Fruit." That's what it is. They don't want the dead weight, or they want to be. They don't want. They don't want to stay dead inside. One thing that this person would tell me is like, "Oh, I feel so much better. People are telling me how much I've changed." Nobody's telling you how much you've changed. You know what I mean? Because you're still stalking people. Like, I was living with her and I realized, God, she's stalking people. She's doing witchcraft on people. She's literally going to another condo or an apartment complex across the street, and they're performing some ritual to sacrifice the Santa Muerte. And then all of these guys in red and black would start, wandering off, and you could see I tried getting video of it, but I was so disturbed by it that I couldn't, it couldn't function. And I always had these low res cameras, these Obama phones, and still so they hadn't popped out the good ones at the time. So I always had these low res cameras. But I also noticed while I was with her, it was like it was a resistance to me making forward progress, because to her, I was her property. And you know what I mean? She was trying to say, oh, we're dating, but we're not dating. You see what I'm saying? So that's the dead weight. The dead weight is people holding you hostage and attaching themselves to your bloodline, to your royalty, because they know the only thing that they have coming to them is death. That's the only thing that they have coming to them. So when somebody who is not, you got this is what equally yoked means too. When somebody who is not at your same vibration, not in your same class, And when I'm talking about class, I'm talking about spiritual class. I'm not talking about, financial, physical, or whatever in this world. I'm talking about spiritual class. That's what equally yoked means, right? Like, dude, does and because people can mimic so much now. That's what AI is taught. That's what they're saying. We're mimicking you. We're getting to the point where we could do what you could do and you could do it better. To the point where it makes you feel like, okay, I guess I'm not so special, but you are. That's why I tell you guys the difference between a spiritual gift and an ability, acquired ability. Way different. A spiritual gift comes from the heart. An ability comes from pain. So, dead weight. So when these people attach, when these creatures basically attach themselves after trauma bonding you, right? And you're open now, you're not closed off, right? It doesn't mean that your angels and guides and the Most High aren't there, but you have to be conscious of them and call them through. Like what some people say, oh, yeah, I said the name of Jesus and it left. I've said, and thank God for my spiritual gifts, because I've said the Psalms 91 right when this fragmented spirit was coming towards me, and I could see that they were there. I could tell that their presence was there, right? I don't like, if you see some readers or whatever, some seers, they do this free writing on a tablet and their eyes are going everywhere, or they say they got to look in a certain direction. That's me. So so this it looks kind of crazy to some people, but but what this person has done for me is that she's always attacking my crown chakra. She's all, and I can literally feel this pressure as if somebody has this concave bowl on me. One time I saw in the spiritual realm, um, that because I was at work, is when I moved here and I started a new job, got in, I was really good, and there was a cute guard, and we had hit it off. It was nothing, anything but just getting along. We had just really hit it off, though. Like, we loved talking to each other. You know what I mean? Like, you don't get, I hadn't had that in a long time. Where you just, it's like your best friend, your work buddy at your best work buddy at the job. And that's all it was, right? But because this person, these, when it gets so bad that they can't control you, let me refresh you guys' memory. Remember, with cluster B personalities, when they can't take away your friends, when they can't isolate you from friends, when they can't take your housing, when they can't take your car, when they can't take your job, when they can't take, get to, when your family members going against you doesn't work, then they go after the dog, the cat, and all that, and when that doesn't work, then they go out after you in the spiritual realm. They will literally do that. They're doing that anyway, but now that becomes full priority. And also the people who somebody said it today, and I was so happy. I'm like, okay, people are starting to wake up to this now. That these are usually people who have nothing going on for them. Not saying that, like I've said before, the people that I've dealt with, the creatures that I've dealt with, these cluster B parasites that I've dealt with, they'll be standing there talking. Like one time I was talking to Olga, and while I'm talking to her, all of a sudden she clicks off. Like, you know what I mean? Like somebody hung up the phone. She clicks off and starts. Is it 8 o'clock? Okay. Sorry. I was looking at the time like, oh my God, what? And she clicks off and she starts, her eyes start rolling around in her head wildly, and she starts wobbling her head like a bobble doll. I was like, what is that? And it freaked me out, and it made me sick to my stomach. Okay, so a lot of things that she did made me sick to my stomach. But she didn't care. She was like, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm going to do, and you're going to just put up with it. That's what cluster B personalities want you to do. They want you to put up with everything that they do, good or bad. Good or bad. And it's weird because you can't. They're so dislocated that they don't even have a time to settle down. You know, all they know, they always have their feelers out. Why? Because they have so many targets. And it's the sociopath in the cocktail of cluster B personality that causes them to, or puts them, makes them want to uh, keep trophies, keep U.S. trophies. So what I saw in the spiritual realm, what the Most High God showed me, because so what I heard was like somebody was really disappointed or like, oh my, like hurt, like they had just caught their loved one cheating or something. And I've been familiar with this person, but I was like, okay, it's I'm away from it. I'm not gonna have to deal with it. Boy, was I wrong. This person came here, actually drove to the new place that I was, and please don't. I don't know how, and but when I'd gone home that night after talking to my friend, and then things changed between us, and they changed because I became scared for her because this person has attacked love interests of mine in the past. Now, I've never dated this person. I lived with her for 2 months, and the last month I paid her bills. And she called me a leech and a mooch. So this was the grooming. This was the I've got to give you low self-esteem because you think too much of yourself. Because I was too happy, right? And so she's still doing this to this day. Because in her head, we are in a relationship, right? I have never been a part of her virtual reality, but she keeps trying to make me a character. And so, anyway, when I went home, I saw that she had encased me. She was literally curled up around me, encased in a ball. Now, I was livid because, number one, I'm not a pet. But it was just weird to have somebody, another human, like I'm not fascinated because fascination gives off uh, gives gives off some type of the connotation that I admire this person and I do not, because like I said, this person is a pedophile. And so again, to finish off, I'm just telling you guys examples. And my spiritually awake, those who are really clairs, not just talking. There's people who are really spiritually gifted, like truly to your core. It's in your DNA. Okay, you'll understand what I'm talking about. Um, but so here, when this person thought that they were going to graft themselves in, but the dead weight is when she attaches, like, so every time I have to purify, I have to pray, I have to meditate, I have to cast down, I have to seal me and my family members off from this person because she takes every opportunity to exploit your sleep, to exploit the dreams, to exploit any type of anything in your life that like I've said, use this, if you stub your toe, she's going to exploit it. Okay, so now you're open, right? Because she's been closed off. Now she's been closed off by the Most High God and my ancestors, right? And those are my fur babies. I've had to protect because she sacrificed some of my fur babies, so I've had to protect us. But one thing that I have felt when she somehow she gets up the musters up the strength and forces an attachment, and she'll connect herself. So when you're dealing with cluster B personalities in a relationship, they have already connected themselves to you. It's a toxic cord. My spiritual mom used to say, make sure that you clear away all toxic cords. Okay? So she was she was attaching to me toxic cord. When you attach a toxic psychic cord, right? You're forcing and you're inducing a parasitic symbiotic relationship of sorts with somebody else who is truly divine, because you believe that you have a right, you're entitled to their birthright, and you're going to force them to allow you to live vicariously through them, then what ends up being, when you're not equally yoked, the dead weight, it becomes dead weight because they only deal in. As I said, this person is a pedophile. The reason why I know is because I talked to the woman who is a survivor, her and her son. are a survivor of this woman, and they never dated again. So she, you know, and when you sync your consciousness with somebody else, and you're in their astral waters, and you come across something, and all of a sudden somebody who's not you is thinking something that is absolutely demonic and perverted, you can't come back from that. So, and then on top of everything else, so because I outed this person as a pedophile, this person has been trying to either convince people that I am actually what I've stated that she is, or with me, when she's getting into my dreamscape, she's trying to create a world where it's okay. And it's not okay. And she knows that it's not okay. You see what I'm saying? I know a lot of people may not be going through or have gone through what I've gone through. But I am, and this is what I believe makes me an awesome coach, because look, I can tell you about the astral realms. I can tell you what I've experienced. I can tell you I smelled sulfur and burnt eggs so bad. Now it's not burnt toast is what you know what I mean. You smell something. I said this is not me. I know I'm not having anything else. Any type of medical issue, right? I mean, because I've smelt this shit before, and it was a demon, and I'm thinking, okay, who conjured this? Because not only did I was walking my dogs down the hall, and two turns, and then there it was, right? And so then I go to work, and I'm walking, I'm getting off work. Was I getting off, or was I going on break or something? I think I was going on break, taking a code eight, and Jiminy Christmas. But I know that our spiritual gifts, phoenixes, are more heightened than ever. And so anyway, I walk down the hall, and I'm smelling that same smell, and I'm like, what the heck is this? What is this? And why? Now I'm on high alert, right? And I told the Most High already that we get tired, but dead weight is this is why when you get away from a cluster B, a covert narcissist, a malignant narcissist, a narcissist, when you get away from them, you have to start healing. You have to get somebody to help you to understand why you feel so heavy and why you feel so empty, because they siphoned out of you for a time your energy, and whatever they couldn't try, they can't take anything, but attaching themselves to you energetically, spiritually, they believe that if you carry them like the parasite that they are, and you carry them like a mushroom with a tree, and you carry them along, whatever sustenance you get, they get. Whatever money that is owed you, that the Most High God is blessing you with, they get. I remember when I got my jobs, and here I am physically doing the work, but this person thought that they were going to puppeteer me, basically dog walk me into, and I would buy the things that they wanted to buy. This is what I mean. When you're dealing with people who are cluster B personalities, everything else that they've tried to take away from you has not worked. They psychically, they will fragment their own spirit, because they're already fragmented. They're already demon possessed. So they will fragment their own spirit in order to attach themselves to you and keep an eye on you because they can compartmentalize. Compartmentalization means that I have shut a part of my life off, my consciousness off from you, because I am now this person, right? So that's DID. I am now this person. Now I'm person over here. Yet over here with this one, I'm this person, right? So, so when they think that if they attach, then you end up having the process, which is what many of us empaths do, right? We are the alchemists. We can. I don't know how many times. I mean, I've always, because why? I was listening to some TikTok videos about Virgos, and they were talking about, oh, Virgos are so bad. Then get away from us then. I mean, like people come around Virgos because why? We emanate when we're healthy, right? We're high vibrating. We've done our work. We emanate, but people know that we don't have to deal with them. Why? Because we have been processing the world. When we stop doing that, people become enraged because now they're left with no uh, with no source and supply, no backup generator, and they're left with the overflow from the toilet that, is their life, is their inner workings that they've been refused for years and years and years. And I've said before, you don't do your work, it festers, it becomes demons. The demons start feeding off of you because now you're scrumptious to them. We scare demons being in the light. But because these are these are half and half demon and half, human, that they thirst for us because they know what they should have been, what they could have been if they would have done their work. There is no reason for anybody to be jealous of anybody. If you do the work, the Most High God will provide for you. But no, instead, you're blocking blessings, or you're holding them up until this person decides to let you back in their life. And that's exactly what it is. When you have somebody who is, if you're not in a relationship with them anymore, even if you're in a relationship, they're blocking you. If you say, gosh, I used to make the money, or maybe they're letting you make money because they know that you'll spend it on them. You know, but that dead weight, when they attach themselves to you, that's dead weight. When they, then you have to process whatever, because when they're attaching themselves to you, now all of a sudden you're sick, right? It's kind of like, man, so we sick? Yes, we're sick. Now you either got to find out how you can cut this weed, this poison, this virus out of your bloodline and leave no residue, or you got to heal them so that you can still be you, who they're attached to as a parasite. Do you understand? So, I think you guys understand what I'm saying. I think you guys understand what I know you. I know you understand exactly what I'm saying. So this is why we do our work, Phoenixes, and this is why we fast. Because God hasn't told me to fast right now, but I know it's coming up. I know it's coming, but because right now things are palpable a little bit. They were getting a little, because like I said, when people can't get to you, they will come to you in the spirit realm. When you start blocking them in the spirit realm, then they get hysterical because how dare you? I don't know what else to do. Do you mean I gotta show my face? You know, I don't want to come to you because you have every right, as far as me and my bloodline, because of the things that these guys were trying to do to me. Like these guys, I don't know what, I mean, these guys were so, they wanted a piece of me so bad that they were astral projecting to have sex, that they were, astral projecting to watch a movie with me, astral projecting to my job. I got to the point where I could I recognized the stench of certain people. I still don't know what this goblin-like creature, you know, in their minstrel that it was about, but that's what I saw. God, but when you fast, when you're doing your work, you're maintaining, and you're fasting, and you're fasting as long as it takes, because God had me fasting for weeks at a time sometimes, at least 3 or 4 days in a row, and just make sure that I would drink water, because that's when I knew that they were getting ready to do another witchcraft ritual. This is my story. It doesn't have to be anybody else's story. But this is where the dead weight comes from, because these guys who come into your etheric field and they violate you. right? Like I have a video on my TikTok, if you guys go see it. It's this woman who's talking about how a lady astral projected to her to find out how they were making so much money at a psychic fair, what they were doing. You see what I'm saying? And the lady even says, "This is breaking and entering. You could have asked me in person." It's a coward who comes and attacks people and tries to force them to do their dirty laundry, right? Because you don't want to pay somebody to do it. You don't want to pay the cost, you know? And that's what it is. People don't want to pay the cost. They want to sacrifice other people. They want to make other people the sacrificial goat. They wanted to make other people the sacrificial goat. So you, in order to purify yourself, you have to, when you get out of a relationship, let me tell you this, my loves, when you get out of a relationship, my black, beautiful black women, when you, lesbian, straight, trans, when you get out of a relationship with a cluster B personality, a malignant narcissist, a borderline personality, histrionic, that whole entire cocktail, when you get out of a relationship, you need to have time by yourself. You need to be loving on yourself. For these last 4 or 5 days, I've been loving on myself. I had one day where I was freaking out, but I've learned that a lot of times my freakouts are because somebody in the spiritual realm is freaking out because they've been blocked. And just like they use their imagination in their virtual reality to try and make me a character, I can use my imagination in my virtual reality to create those powerful angels or mecha for my anime fans that got something for that butt. You feel me? But you need to take your time. You need to cry. You need to cry because one thing that we don't do when we're constantly under pressure and under tension and it's repeating trauma is we get numb and we don't cry. Journal, clear your chakra, because in clearing your chakra, which is the energy centers up your spine from your root chakra all the way up to your crown, right? So when people are like, "Oh, let me adjust my crown," yes, you should, because they were trying to block that. I felt everything that these guys have done, and it's not made me happy. You know, for the first time though, when I moved and I got into my place, it was like, oh my God, like I felt that happiness, I felt that joy, and I kept clearing my chakra, kept clearing my chakra, kept clearing my chakra, and I started to spin a little bit. I was like, yes, you know, my crown started to get better, right? Because it wasn't that fire where my head was getting hot. Now for me, that's an attack. Like last night, I was getting ready for bed, and the back of my neck got hot. So I was like, that's not. It was a type of hot that I recognized as a psychic attack or as somebody trying to remote view in some way, shape, or form. So get somebody that you can talk to about it. Get somebody who's going to understand you. Get somebody that's not going to freak out because they hear some occult language, or you start saying, "Hey, I think witchcraft was done on me. You know, this person was involved in witchcraft, or this person was involved in the cult. They were trying to traffic me, or they did sex traffic me, or whatever." You know what I mean? Like, I'm not a therapist, but I am a guide and I am an empathic listener, right? So you let me know whether you want the guide or the empathic listener, but you have to get to somebody that you can talk to, right? I mean, for me, I did it. I ended up doing it on my own. I still don't have people. I mean, I have people that I talk to about stuff, but I don't, people would be so overwhelmed if I just went, boo, I don't dump, right? So that's another thing. As an empathic listener, I don't dump. Let's get constructive, right? So, but, so it's, when you get away, it's loving on yourself, it's taking your time, it's crying, it's finding ways to release, it's drinking a lot of water so that you can filter all those. You got to basically, you've got to filter them out of you. Drinking water, like go on a smoothie fast, for a week. Pray, meditate, give glory, give praise. However you get down in the spiritual realm is prayer and worship, right? Gratitude list, right? Clear your chakra. Have somebody that you talk to, right? Because that's what they were trying to. I had this person who all of a sudden I was talking. I thought about this the other day. I was like, all of a sudden I was talking to a counselor, and then we were scheduled for an appointment, and she never called, and she never answered my. I was like, what did this woman do to her? You see what I'm saying? I don't know. I don't know, but I never heard back from that counselor, right? So they will try and if they can't have your birthright, which is just basically your existence, whatever your they want to go on your journey without having to do the things that you got to do to sustain your happiness and your peace on your journey, right? So hopefully this has helped somebody. But I'm done. I gotta go walk the babes. But I wanted to bring up this topic of spiritual dead weight, because the spiritual dead weight also turns into the physical dead weight, which is weight gain, right? So because they put you in a chronic state of fight or flight, and so you've gotten that adrenaline and that cortisol that you've made way too much of. It's out of whack. It's out of sync. So especially you got to get to so start watching Netflix movies that make you laugh. I listen to Cat Williams. He cracks me up. You know, listen just and it's snippets on TikTok. Right? I've been laughing a lot. I've been crying a lot. I've just sat in my bed and just been like, you know what? I don't want to do anything today. You know, if you work, when you go to work, stay out of the drama. Stay out of the drama. You know, I send angels before me to prepare me so that way I'm not getting and protect me from anybody who's scheming. You know, because unfortunately in America, especially because we have a lot of different cultures here that don't play by our rules. I find that the job market has become very competitive. You know, and many of us want to do remote work because we don't want to deal with anybody else. I don't want to deal after 12, 15 years of trauma. Who wants to go to work and deal with more trauma or deal with competition that they don't have to deal with? You know, not me. I don't think anybody wants to. So, but yeah, just allow yourself to get to a quiet place, get to a safe place. If you're transitioning out of a plus or B relationship, make sure you have somebody easy to talk to. I mean, maybe if not about everything, just about a little bit of stuff. You know, just say, hey, gosh, I just need an ear. I just need to cry. I need somebody to cry with. You know, just something simple, right? Clear your chakra. Find out how to do that. If you want, I got a Patreon that I got my videos up on there going through each chakra. And I think it's only $8 to join a month. So anyway, um, and then write a gratitude list and do something special for yourself. I mean, but and let yourself and get somebody to talk to, like a coach like me, or transformational coach, dark coach like myself, or if you want to get a therapist, that's good too. Or if you want both, that's good too. Okay, so hopefully this helps somebody. I know it's long, but I've decided not to hide exactly what it is um, that the Most High and I talk about, man. Like I find that a lot of people we're finding our tribe, and I know my tribe is out there, so that's who I'm talking to. That's who I'm talking to. So anyway, I love you guys, and I thank you so much for subscribing and ringing the bell. There's going to be some few more topics. If you want some services, go to my Fiverr, and my Fiverr, you can get to my link. You can get to my Fiverr through my link tree, and you can pick empathic listener or get it off your chest. I think it's one of those that I got on there, and or you can do the 8 week program, 2 part program from sealed to healed, and take it from there. All right. Remember, Phoenixes, your blessings are in your ashes. Rise.